The freedoms of press, speech, assembly, and petition are the fundamental bedrock of a free society. Encompassed in this concept is the freedom of and from religion. In the United States, our Supreme Court has written that freedom of speech is the matrix, the indispensable condition of nearly every form of other freedom. Without it, other fundamental freedoms and rights would wither on the vine. You will find many political, religious, and philosophical dispositions within the West, and they are often contradictory to each other. However, they all exist within this matrix, and freedom of speech and thought is their common denominator. Should you choose to live under this umbrella of protection of freedoms, then you must check your fascist, fundamentalist, oppressive whims at the door. This goes for everyone, citizens and guests. Whether you are a Tea Party activist, a Christian fundamentalist upset about abortion, or a fundamentalist upset about depictions of your prophet in a cartoon, coercing your position through intimidation, violence, and threats of violence is anathema to exercising democracy, and it is unacceptable. It has been suggested that freedom of speech is limited to respectful speech. This concept has been brought up by many who object to these political depictions of Mohammed in cartoons. This is at best laughable. Respect is earned, not guaranteed, and it is not a right. We guarantee the freedom of expression to some of the most despicable, detestable, hateful people who know nothing of respect for their fellow human beings. Our concepts of freedom and liberty were formulated in the crucible of the French Renaissance. The Renaissance is a word that implies rebirth, signifying our emergence from the dark ages of fundamentalist Iron Age superstition. The concept of freedom of expression is illustrated best in Voltaire's letter to Monsieur le Riche, when he wrote his famous, quote, "I detest what you write, but I would give my life to make it possible for you to write it," end quote. In his essay on tolerance, Voltaire admonishes us to think for ourselves and let others enjoy the privilege to do so. As I said, Renaissance implies rebirth. Perhaps you should take it for a spin. Our system of government is not perfect, but its mechanism for change is the foundation of freedom of thought and expression. And we are a secular government, forbidden to impose religion and forbidden to cower in its shadow. Our history is rich with individuals and groups who would use their freedom of expression to make the world a better place by opening those freedoms to those who never shared them. Native Americans have fought for equal rights. Blacks have discarded the shackles of slavery and then Jim Crow and segregation. And they continue to make progress. Women won the right to vote. Workers united for safer conditions and better hours. But we will never allow any group to march us backwards by knocking down these pillars of freedom, nor will the bedrock be shaken. Our freedom of speech is here to stay, every last messy word and idea. Finally, it is important to remember that Muslim extremists are not the only threat to our freedom. We have always walked on the precipice of fascism, from the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798 to Bloody Kansas, to Sacco and Vanzetti, to No Irish Need Apply, to the Espionage Act that was used to lock up Eugene Debs, to Japanese internment camps during World War II, the House Un-American Activities Committee in the 50s, to murdering college students at Kent State University in the 70s. The threats have also come from within. Like muscles, civil liberties must be exercised if they are to remain strong. If our freedom of expression is ultimately limited by coercion from outside forces or from within, it won't be the fault of some Iron Age fundamentalists. If you remain silent on this issue, to find those who are responsible, you'll need only look into a mirror. And so, to flex my muscle of free speech, here is my cartoon of Mohammed, and of Mary, and of Jesus, and of Yahweh, and Vishnu, and back to Mohammed for good measure. Because freedom can't protect itself.